Okay, so here at Trop Acres Farms, we started to sell Budwood this week, or rather, we have made Budwood requests available for mango. So today is March 27th or 28th, I don't remember. Um, but this Sunday, we'll be conducting our first Budwood check for mango of the season. We only sell mango Budwood between the 1st of April and the end of August. So currently, there is an option on our website where you can submit a Budwood checklist. That page explains the process that we use for selling our Budwood. But if you're not familiar, mangoes are typically grafted, and the material that we use to graft them, the pieces of stems that we take from the mother plant that's desired, is called Budwood or scions. And you can see this is a stump that I decided to top work. So I cut this back last year, and I have put some grafts on it. I probably threw about 10 or 11 grafts on it, different parts of the canopy. So this was a tree that we didn't want to keep. We weren't so excited about this variety, and neither were customers. So rather than just cut it down, you can take a tree like this and cut it back. This was at one point probably like 16 feet tall or something like that, or more. Cut it back to a stump and let it come back and graft to the shoots that emerge from the trunk, and then later on remove some of this old canopy that's trying to come back from the variety that you no longer desire, and let these grafts become your new tree. And there's lots of people around the country that want to do this. You can also graft mangoes to rootstocks, to seedling mangoes that you start at home or purchase from other people as well. So we do ship our Budwood all over the place, pretty much every state in the U.S., and it's only available for a brief period of time, at least the mango Budwood. We also sell avocado Budwood, sapodilla Budwood, and mamey Budwood as well. So you can get those scions from us also, but the mango is a little more limited period of time, and you can see the entire list of varieties that you can request on that Budwood page on our website at tropicalacresfarms.com. So we're looking forward to an active Budwood season and sending people lots of really cool varieties of mangoes, a lot of them very obscure, and we're happy that people are trying to add them to their own collections, because then that spreads the germplasm around a bit. So these varieties are less at risk of being lost in certain cases, and have the potential to become more popular.
How do you select Budwood for customers? Like, what would it look like if they have that question of...
Right, so when we're out in the field looking for Budwood, we are generally looking for active buds. That means that the buds on the stem that we're going to cut are swelling up. Now, it's not 100% necessary to use such material for grafting, but we find that amateur grafters, who is most of our customers are amateurs, have better success rates using material that has swelling buds. So when we're doing a Budwood check, we're going to go around and look for this tree's flush growth already, but I can find very quickly, most likely, some material that's starting to swell up. So here, right here on this tree, this is a Glen tree right here. We've got a bud that's swelling up on this scion. Now this one's starting to push, so likely we would just nick that off so that this becomes the dominant bud, because typically if they push a little too far, that bud doesn't usually survive the initial graft. But this bud and this bud is fine. And here's another one right here, for example. So this is good right here, these little swelling buds. So that's the material we're checking for when we do a Budwood check for you. If you indicate on the field that you don't need active buds, it really expands the opportunity for us to find material for you, because on a lot of these trees, when we go out, we only check Budwood once a week. We do it on Sundays. I have to go around and kind of march around the whole place, and sometimes we have one example of a variety and there's no good Budwood on the whole canopy. It could be like this tree we were just looking at, which is flushing growth left and right and has really no good scions on it. That happens a lot. So, or the whole canopy could be dormant and there's no swelling buds to be found anywhere on the canopy. So in that case, the check is going to come back with 0 for that variety. And we only send you an invoice for the ones that have swelling buds if you don't indicate that you're willing to take dormant material. So just something to consider if you order budwood from us. You do have the option of getting dormant scions if ones with swelling buds aren't available, as long as you indicate that on the form.
What kind of grafts would you recommend for those top working that are going to order
Cleft
budwood?
and veneer grafts are what we typically recommend to people grafting at home. Cleft grafts are my preference on top works. They're very simple and easy to do. There's less opportunity for error, I like to call it. It's a pretty simple cut. Lots of good videos on YouTube on how to cleft graft mangoes. So if you've never done it before, don't feel intimidated, and practice will make you better. So if you start out and you're frustrated, trust me, if you practice and practice at it and use a very sharp knife, you'll get better at it.
How long after receiving the budwood should they use it?
As soon as they possibly can is the short answer. The long answer is you can potentially store them for up to a couple of weeks under refrigeration with moist media. You can store them at room temperature, maybe for beyond a week or up to a week in moist media, but they do lose viability with each passing day or week. So optimally, you're using them within a few days of receiving them. And if you do, the viability is excellent. So, and I've had budwood given to me that took a long time to get to me, that for different reasons couldn't be grafted immediately, and the grafts still take. But a lot of that comes down to your relative skill. And for amateurs, the quicker you can get them grafted, the better off you'll be.
All right. How should they store it if they don't have time to do it right away?
If you don't have time to do it right away and they were received very recently, then you can store them in moist media. We usually send them in like little moist paper towels that are wrapped around the scions in a plastic bag to keep them nice and moist and preventing them from drying out. If they desiccate, they're much less likely to take. So don't leave them like on your counter exposed to the air. Keep them in like a sealed plastic bag. Some people like to wrap them in parafilm. I feel like moist media extends their longevity from what I've observed and practiced with. If you want to extend their shelf life like over a week or something like that, then you need to think about refrigerating them. But in refrigeration, they need to be also kept moist, and you can't have any freezing pockets in your fridge that they're sitting in, because if they get exposed to temperatures, at freezing or close to freezing, which a lot of home refrigerators have that temperature, they get damaged or killed, and then they're useless. So optimally, if you're going to refrigerate them, if you can keep them like above 40 degrees, that would be awesome. So, and that'll extend their life up to a couple weeks. We've had some pretty amazing results with refrigerating them, but I would still suggest using them right away if you can.
How patient do they have to be once they graft it? About how long till they see maybe some growth?
They should push within a month most of the time, but I've seen plenty of examples where grafts held out for months before they actually pushed. But in most cases, it's going to be within a few weeks to a month of doing the graft. Sometimes quicker. I mean, like if the bud is really swelling good when you graft it, and your stock that you're using is flushing active growth, sometimes they'll push within less than a week or start to push within less than a week. That's very common too. But it should happen usually at least within 3 to 4 weeks of doing the grafting, a lot of times sooner.
You think moon phases or any of that are important when it comes to grafting?
Yeah, if you can get I don't ever factor that into when I do grafting, but the moon does encourage when it's in the what is it called? The waxing gibbous or gibbous, I don't know how to pronounce that.
When it's growing.
Yeah, as the moon is expanding, the rate of growth coming out of the buds is accelerated. So, but I've never factored that into when I do a graft. The state of the buds, the state of the stock are more important things to consider for the home grafter, I think, than the stage of the moon.
Should they look for some active growth like this already, or they're going to graft?
Yeah, optimally, it's just starting to push out. And so, I mean, you can graft them at this stage, but like the best is like, if you can get them like this, or even before this, as you can just see, they're just starting to push out. That's probably the best point in time, because there's a lot of juices flowing through the tissue.
Cut there and cleft graft?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. or veneer graft, whatever you're deciding to do. But that will help assist your rate of take a little bit if you can graft them at that stage. Where you really don't want to graft them is like when they're turning from like red to green or whatever, or bronze to green. That's kind of the worst stage to do it. But I mean, you can still get takes, but you're much better off doing them when they're like that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.